Godzilla vs. Ant-Man? Can size make a difference? Imagine this. You're chilling in the city, maybe grabbing a latte, when the ground beneath you starts to shake. You look up, and towering above the skyscrapers is none other than Godzilla, the king of the monsters. But wait, before you can even process that, something zips past your ear. It's tiny, almost invisible. It's Ant-Man, the incredible shrinking, and sometimes growing, superhero. So today, we're throwing two iconic figures into the ring from completely different universes and sizes. Godzilla vs. Ant-Man. Crazy, right? We're asking the big and small question. Can size really make a difference when these two face off? Grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's dive into this epic hypothetical showdown. Godzilla. Godzilla first stomped onto the scene back in 1954, straight out of Japan. But he wasn't just any monster movie's flavor of the week. Nope, Godzilla was a living, breathing metaphor for nuclear destruction, a reflection of the profound fears following the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings. Over the years, Godzilla's character has evolved massively. He started as a terrifying force of nature, a villain leveling cities without a second thought. But as more movies rolled out, he shifted roles, sometimes playing the anti-hero or even Earth's protector against other monstrous threats. So, what makes Godzilla the undisputed king of the monsters? Let's break down his monstrous skill set. Size and strength. Depending on the era, Godzilla stands anywhere from 50 meters to a staggering 120 meters tall. His physical strength is off the charts. He can smash buildings with a flick of his tail and toss around other giant monsters like they're toys. Atomic breath. This is his signature move. Godzilla can unleash a devastating radioactive heat ray from his mouth, capable of obliterating almost anything in its path. Durability and regeneration. Godzilla's hide is nearly impenetrable. Tanks, missiles, lasers, they barely tickle, and if he does get injured, he can heal at a rapid pace. Godzilla's resume is nothing short of epic. Battles. He's gone toe-to-toe with other legendary kaiju like King Ghidorah, Mothra, and Rodan. And let's not forget Mechagodzilla, his robotic arch-nemesis. Survival. He's taken nuclear bombs head-on and walked away as if it was just a sunbathe. Environmental impact. His mere presence can cause tsunamis, earthquakes, and shifts in the Earth's crust. Godzilla's size isn't just for show, it's a fundamental part of his power. His massive stature allows him to intimidate foes, dominate the battlefield, and cause destruction on a scale that's hard to comprehend. He uses his weight and size to crush opponents, create shockwaves, and alter the environment around him. In Godzilla's world, being big isn't just an advantage, it's everything. Ant-Man. Ant-Man has actually been a couple of different people. The original was Dr. Hank Pym, a brilliant scientist who discovered the Pym particles, allowing him to alter his size. Then there's Scott Lang, a reformed thief who takes up the Ant-Man mantle to become a hero in his own right. While Ant-Man might not be the first name you think of when listing iconic superheroes, he's been a key player in the Marvel Universe. So, what's in Ant-Man's bag of tricks? Let's check it out. Size manipulation. Using Pym particles, Ant-Man can shrink down to the size of an ant or grow to gigantic proportions. This isn't just about getting small or big, it's about changing how he interacts with the world around him. Superhuman strength. When he shrinks, he retains his normal strength, meaning his punches pack a wallop even when he's tiny. When he grows, his strength increases proportionally. Communication with insects. With his specialized helmet, Ant-Man can communicate with and command ants and other insects. Ant-Man's had his fair share of hero moments. Infiltration. He's pulled off heists and missions that would be impossible for anyone else. Giant Man mode. In Captain America, Civil War, and Avengers Endgame, we saw him supersize into Giant Man. Quantum realm exploration. Ant-Man has ventured into the quantum realm, a subatomic universe that holds the key to time travel and other phenomena. For Ant-Man, size is all about adaptability. Shrinking allows for stealth, infiltration, and surprise attacks. Growing turns him into a powerhouse, capable of taking on larger threats. But each size comes with its own pros and cons. When he's tiny, a stray footstep could be dangerous. When he's giant, he becomes a bigger target and can be a bit clumsy. It's all about using the right size at the right time. Pym particles. Now, Let's geek out just a smidge about PIM particles, the secret sauce behind Ant-Man's size-changing abilities. In the Marvel Universe, PIM particles allow the user to access the energies from the dimension where mass is stored when shrinking, and draw mass from that dimension when growing. Essentially, he's not just changing size, he's shifting mass between dimensions. Giant Man vs. Godzilla. So, let's put Giant Man and Godzilla side by side. At his tallest, Giant Man is around 20 meters. Impressive, but still teeny compared to Godzilla's towering 120 meters. In a face-to-face brawl, Giant Man would be looking up, way up, at Godzilla. But size isn't the only factor here. Remember, Ant-Man brings agility and clever tactics to the table. Shrinking strategies. Here's where things get interesting. Ant-Man can shrink down to subatomic levels. Theoretically, he could sneak inside Godzilla's body and cause some internal havoc. Maybe mess with vital organs or disrupt his energy flow. It's like the Trojan horse but on a microscopic level. Sure, it's a bit of a wild card, but in a battle against a giant monster, all bets are off. The psychological factor. Let's not underestimate the psychological aspect. Godzilla is used to battling foes his own size or bigger. An opponent who can shrink and grow at will might throw him for a loop. Unpredictability can be a powerful weapon. Plus, if Ant-Man uses his insect friends, seeing swarms of ants crawling all over might be more than a little distracting, even for a giant lizard. Scenario 1. Direct confrontation at normal sizes. First up, let's imagine Ant-Man engaging Godzilla while remaining at his normal human size. He'd have to rely entirely on his agility, tech, and wits. Dodging Godzilla's massive attacks would be like trying to avoid falling buildings during an earthquake. One misstep, and squish. But if Ant-Man could stay close and elusive, maybe he could find a way to trip up the big guy. Scenario 2. Giant Man emerges. Next, Ant-Man goes big, really big, as Giant Man. He'd still be dwarfed by Godzilla, but now he's got some height to back him up. He could aim for strategic points, like attacking Godzilla's legs to knock him off balance. However, being larger also makes him a bigger target and slows him down. Plus, Godzilla's atomic breath could be a real problem at this scale. Scenario 3. The microscopic assault. Now, let's get sneaky. Ant-Man shrinks down to ant size, or even smaller, and goes for the infiltration approach. He could enter Godzilla's body through the nasal passages or open wounds. Once inside, he could target vital organs or disrupt biological functions. It's a covert op that bypasses Godzilla's formidable exterior defenses. The downside? Navigating inside a giant radioactive monster isn't exactly a walk in the park. Scenario 4. Environmental utilization. Finally, Ant-Man could use the environment to his advantage. In a cityscape, he could manipulate buildings, vehicles, and technology to create traps or distractions. Imagine reprogramming construction cranes to topple onto Godzilla or leading him into areas where his size works against him, like bridges or tunnels. Meanwhile, Godzilla's destructive nature could inadvertently provide Ant-Man with more resources to use. Potential outcomes. Each scenario has its own potential outcomes. In a direct fight, Godzilla's raw power is overwhelming. In a battle of wits and strategy, Ant-Man's versatility could give him an edge. If Ant-Man can exploit Godzilla's weaknesses or catch him off guard, he might just pull off the impossible. Intelligence and strategy. Ant-Man brings human intelligence and strategic thinking to the table. Whether it's Hank Pym's scientific genius or Scott Lang's street smarts and quick thinking, he's got the mental edge. Godzilla, while intelligent in his own way, operates more on instinct and primal behavior. Ant-Man could potentially outsmart Godzilla, setting traps or luring him into unfavorable positions. Technology and resources. Ant-Man's suit isn't just for style points. It's packed with tech that enhances his abilities. He can communicate with insects, has access to various gadgets, and can even call in backup like the Wasp. Godzilla, on the other hand, relies solely on his natural abilities, which are admittedly off the charts. But without tech or allies, he might be at a disadvantage in a battle where innovation plays a key role. Allies and reinforcements. If things get hairy, Ant-Man isn't alone. He could potentially call in other Avengers or use his connections to gain an advantage. An army of ants might not faze Godzilla, but coordinated attacks from multiple heroes could make a difference. Godzilla sometimes teams up with or fights alongside other kaiju, but in our scenario, we're focusing on a one-on-one matchup. Weaknesses and limitations. Every hero has their weaknesses. Ant-Man's powers are tied to his suit and Pym particles. If his tech fails or gets damaged, he's just a regular guy. Godzilla, while nearly indestructible, has shown vulnerabilities to certain types of energy or environmental conditions. For example, extreme cold has been used against him in some stories. If Ant-Man can exploit these weaknesses, he might find a path to victory. Urban battlefield. In a city setting, Ant-Man could have the home field advantage. Skyscrapers, alleyways, and infrastructure provide plenty of opportunities for stealth and strategy. He could set traps, lead Godzilla into tight spaces, or use the city's resources against him. However, Godzilla's mere presence could level the city, removing those advantages quickly. Open terrain. On open ground, the tables turn in favor of Godzilla. With no obstacles, he can move freely and unleash his full destructive power. Ant-Man would have fewer places to hide or tools to use. He'd have to rely heavily on evasion and speed, which might not be enough against Godzilla's sheer might. Underwater possibilities. Underwater? Forget about it. Godzilla is an aquatic beast. He can swim at incredible speeds and is perfectly at home beneath the waves. Ant-Man's abilities are severely limited underwater, and his suit might not withstand deep-sea pressures. If the fight goes subaquatic, it's pretty much game over for Ant-Man. Recap of analysis. So, we've dissected this matchup from all angles. Godzilla brings overwhelming size, strength, and durability. Ant-Man offers versatility, intelligence, and unique abilities that could catch Godzilla off guard. It's a classic clash of titans in their own rights, one colossal, one pint-sized but packing a punch. Answering the central question, does size make a difference? Absolutely, but it's not the only factor. While Godzilla's size is a massive advantage, Ant-Man's ability to manipulate size adds complexity to the equation. In some scenarios, his small size could be more of an asset than a liability. Final verdict. Who would win in this epic showdown? It's too close to call. It might sound like a cop-out, but with so many variables, it's impossible to declare a definitive winner. In a straight-up fight, Godzilla likely dominates. But with strategy and clever use of his abilities, Ant-Man could pull off the upset of the century. It all comes down to the circumstances of the battle. Reflecting on power dynamics. At the end of the day, this hypothetical battle highlights something we see often. Sometimes, the underdog has a fighting chance if they play their cards right. It's a testament to ingenuity over brute force, and how thinking outside the box can level even the most uneven playing fields. After all, it's not about the size of the hero in the fight, but the size of the fight in the hero.